Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. It is the start of 2023 and I'm really excited to be getting into more of these YouTube videos as the year progresses. But over the summer, in New Zealand it is summer at the moment and we've enjoyed a really hot Christmas break. We spent the last 10 days camping with the family and it has been amazing. But I've had some time to sort of sit back and reflect over the last wee while. I also turned 30 over the summer break, and for me, turning 30 for whatever reason felt really significant. It felt like I was almost becoming a man all over again and stepping into something new. But it's caused me to sort of reflect on the last few years, and particularly on the last 5 years running a video production business. It is filled with challenges, and today in this video I wanted to share 5 things that I have learnt, words of wisdom I think that I would like to have told myself when I was first starting, things to keep an eye out for. So 5 things that I would keep an eye out for running a business as a business owner. Now, if you have subscribed to this channel for the DaVinci Resolve tutorials, they will be back very shortly. But for this video, we're just going to be having a conversation. So you might want to skip over this one or read the chapters in the bottom of this video to see if there's anything of interest. So number 1, this is a little bit controversial because everything you see on the internet is about hustling, about working your face off to grow. One thing that I've learned is orientating yourself by looking backwards is a much more grounded place to view the world and a grounded place to view your reality rather than looking forward all the time. Looking forward is great. Having vision is awesome. Having vision for where you want to go in the future, particularly if you're not content and happy with where you are right now. Vision is a great thing, but also vision or looking forward and looking at what could be can quite quickly disorientate you, particularly if you're really struggling to get to the point where you're wanting to be. So for me as a business owner, the last 5 years has been challenging and we haven't necessarily achieved all the goals that we set initially, and it's quite easy to look at that and feel defeated and kind of get a disorientated feeling because you're not necessarily what you thought you would be, or the business isn't where you thought it would be. Looking back at all the things that you have achieved, looking back at where you've come from and where you are today, grounds you, it orientates you, and it's a far better representation of the progress that you have made, because the reason is you're comparing yourself to your past self rather than comparing yourself to where everyone else is at. So you can look at someone and go, man, they're so much further ahead than me, but they may have had a further head start. Their situations may have been different, and the industry that they're in or the environment that they're in terms of the work opportunities may have been completely different. So there's no point stressing and disorientating yourself by looking forward all the time. I find looking back at what we've done, what we've achieved, where we've come from, all the awesome things that we've done, and also all the skills that we have picked up and learned along the way, that's a great place to ground you in your business journey. Now, the next one, number 2, might seem really obvious, but it's good to be reminded of this, that business is a marathon and sustainability is the name of the game. You never want to trade quick wins for long-term fails. And a lot of people, what they do is they burn out really quick because they just sprint, forgetting that we're actually in a marathon of a race. I think looking back on the last few years, I've definitely learned the hard way. By working really hard, long hours, really being stretched without much breathing room, without much space to really recuperate. It definitely causes some strain and friction in your life. And so we really want to try and develop a mindset of sustainability and longevity, because I want to be here in 20 years time, still smiling, still making videos, and still having passion for what I do. Now, obviously in business, there are seasons where you need to sprint, where you need to work really hard to overcome certain obstacles. But for the vast majority of business, you need to settle into a sustainable pace that you can sustain for longer than just a few months or a few weeks. So that's definitely what I've learned over the last few years. Slow down, create more sustainable practices, sustainable rhythms within your business life, and that will see you for the long term. Now, the third thing that I've learned about running a video production business, and this could apply to most creative industries, is that my personal and business values and my personal and business goals really need to align in order to create a smooth work-life balance. If my personal and business goals don't align, there's always going to be friction between the two. And where there's friction, something has to give, or where there's friction, the softer of the two materials will often be worn down. And I guess for me, what I want to try and do is alleviate that friction within my life so that myself, my business, my employees, and also my family don't feel that constant friction between the pool of different values between personal and business life. It could be something as simple as having a personal goal, such as a goal for the amount of time that you want to spend with your family, whereas your business goal might be a really lofty financial goal and it requires a certain amount of input, a certain amount of hours that you have to work every week. Now, obviously, it's not that simple, but for the sake of example, that business goal is going to be pulling you away from the personal goal that you have with your family. And so I've learned over the last few years to really try and pull business and personal together to really form a consistent personal and work-life balance. It all comes back to trying to create this sustainable work-life balance and this sustainable career so that I can still be doing this in 20 years' time. We said earlier that you don't want to sacrifice short-term wins for long-term failures. And for me, a long-term failure would be coming out of the end of my career in 20 years' time and not having great relationships. So I'm happy to push and pull back and forwards between family and business when I need to, as long as those two goals are aligned. And also as long as those goals of the people that I love around me are aligned as well, such as my wife and my kids. All right, number 4, the fourth thing that I have learned running a video production business in Nelson, New Zealand, which is my context. But what I've learned is the maturity of an industry determines the depth of the niche that you can go within the industry. So for example, if a industry is relatively new and there's not a lot of providers for the industry and there's not a lot of demand or need for the industry, it requires the people within the industry to sort of operate on a surface level, jack of all trades type position where they're offering a whole range of services to support the industry. But when the industry develops and it grows and there's a real flourishing within the industry, is it allows all the operators who are servicing the industry to really go deep within the industry and niche down into specializations. Now, this might seem very obvious, but what we did when we first started the video production business here in Nelson is we presumed a lot of things about the industry, and we presumed that it was actually more mature than it was. So we took a lot of our modeling and a lot of the inspiration for how we were going to run things as a company from other providers around the country and even other providers in different countries. And what simply can't happen is grabbing that model and adopting it into our local context and expecting it to work without any issues. So over the last few years, we've really discovered the maturity of the industry here. What that means is there aren't very many operators. So there's not a great pool of subcontractors here, such as freelancers like directors, DPs, producers, editors. There's not a huge amount of people living in Nelson providing those services because there simply isn't a need for a lot of those productions that require those operators. So there's not a lot of service providers, but then there's also not necessarily an awareness within businesses in our city that video production is a thing, or they don't necessarily value it as much as other alternative types of advertising. And so all that to say, over the years, we've really discovered our niche within the industry and we've had to adapt to the maturity of the industry within our context. I will say that for our context, we are servicing local businesses. Local businesses are obviously on the ground, so we need to be on the ground here. But the filmmaking industry globally is awesome because you can specialize down in a skill such as editing or color grading or animation, and you can service the global population of the film industry. So that's very different to what we're talking about, where you're a service provider for a city, for local businesses, where you're on the ground. So number 5, the fifth thing that I've learned running a video production company upon reflection is that the vast majority of situations that you find yourself in, you are actually more in control of that situation than you would think. What do I mean by this? Well, a lot of the time it's really easy to play the victim, particularly if you're a business owner and you're on the threshold of burning out because you've just got so much work. Maybe you're managing staff and there's just crazy things happening and you feel like everything is happening to you. A lot of the times you feel like things are happening to you out of your control. But what you need to know is that you're the boss and you can make the decisions to alleviate all of those problems. If something bad is happening in the business, it's probably your fault as a business owner, and that is really hard to stomach. It was hard for me to stomach and realize that I'm more in control of the situation of my business than I actually give myself credit for. I've actually got the ability to make decisions, to change things, to change processes. And I've spent a lot of time learning about how to run a business. And you realize that you started a business because you love making films, but then you become an employer and you become a manager, and all these other things pile on top of your foundational skill. And so it's a lot of fun learning all those extra processes. So we said 5, but I'm going to throw in a last bonus one for good measure. Hard work and your connections go hand in hand when running a business. Over the last few years, I've obviously discovered that hard work and developing a skill will allow opportunities to arise, but connections also allow opportunities to arise. So connections are the relationships that you build around your world. I think for me, I always used to look at people who seemed to be getting lots of opportunities and think that that was the missing link, and they were simply just meeting the right people in life and getting doors open for them and opportunities. But all that is doing is opening up a door for you, and it's your skill and it's your operational expertise that will actually transfer you through the door into the next thing. Invest in the skill and have the skill ready, and the knowledge and the mindset and everything that is required to take advantage of the opportunities when they do come. Definitely spending a lot more time investing in my connections, my relationships, as much as I am investing in my personal operational skill. Well, there you have it. That was 5 things I've learned over the last few years running a video production business. There are obviously hundreds of more lessons that I'd love to share as this channel progresses, but we're going to get back into the DaVinci Resolve tutorials. We're going to get back into filmmaking tips and tricks. If you do have any questions about what you want to see in future videos, please drop them in the comment box below. Make sure to subscribe and like this video, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.